Hey guys, it's Tom Box. Thanks for tuning into MST.TV. This video, we're going to look into the most frequent illegal / misplays to catch this WCQ season. I've gathered a lot of these information and these misplays from like videos of people's deck profiles and how they're describing their combos. I've gathered it from stories from YCS, stories from regionals. Some of them I've viewed at regionals and some of it at my own locals and other locals elsewhere. So this is my consolidated list for you guys to catch because I don't want you guys to get cheated out of a win when an illegal play happened to push you into this accepted game state, which is basically unwinnable. And that's why I'm here for you guys. And a lot of these cards, a lot of them have to do with just reading the cards just to catch them. But I know you guys are in the moment. It's really tense. Perhaps you'll miss a few words. And some people tend to redact a couple of cards and try several things to see if they can get away with it. Well, I'm here to provide you guys with the reminder of how these things work so that, you know, we'll drill into your head so that best of luck to you guys. Maybe you'll go as far as you're supposed to go. All right, let's get into this. But before we do that, let's just check out this little field center right here. This field center, which is the 2019 official MST.TV field center. I'm gonna do one field center a year, and this is the one for this year. If you collect one for the next couple of years, if you collect 5 of them, 5 different ones, maybe you'll get a secret prize from Tom Box. Little Tom. I don't know, maybe something secret will happen. But yes, if you want this to arrive before WCQ, you have to order basically right now, or else it'll arrive after. But, you know, I appreciate your support. A lot of this stuff is just gonna go fund something very expensive like a wedding. Anyways, and let's get into this video. The first card we're gonna look into is No Materia. Called it out. This card's gonna tank in price because it's not very practical. Yes, I know. From $90 down to like around $30 now. I knew it. I said it in the pre-release. Regardless, let's look into the card text and then we'll explain the misplay happening behind it. So No Materia, a level 1 fairy, Earth. If your opponent special summons a monster while you control no cards, so it has a trigger effect, you can discard this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. This turn, that monster cannot be tributed or used as a material for fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link summon. You can only activate one of these effects per turn. So where is the misplay happening? Well, it's thanks to the strategically placed this turn. A lot of people actually think this card is permanent, and multiple cases have already happened. They do it to a player playing Orcus and they throw the card at them and then they're like, oh no, I'm stuck forever, and they insta scoop. Yeah, very strange. So this No Materia problem is mainly because this turn is placed in the middle of the text rather than the typical blah blah blah. This card effect happens until the end of this turn. This card cannot be blah 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 until the end of this turn. Yeah, the wording is different. It's a bit reversed. A lot of people tend to scan the card and look at the end, and even to the like the random person where you gave the card for them to read, and they don't read this turn part, they're just looking at the end. They actually believe it is, well, permanent, and it is not permanent. So during the next turn, make sure you get rid of your monster if you need it as a material. All right, guys, so that's number 1. An illegal play for you guys to catch on the second card is the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. This one is an Orcus player mistake because they picked up the deck without knowing what the cards do. They just were told that, oh, what do you do with the boots? Well, this guy's a bit of a free summon. You just special summon him out when you control the Phantom Knight monster. Yeah, basically you can use him as an extra body, and that's as far of an extent that people describe him. However, they are missing one very important part of this, which is it is only once per turn that you can summon him this way. It states in the card right here, if you control the Phantom Knight's monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon the Phantom Knight Silent Boots once per turn this way. And that matters in the long run, especially when you have to deal with people that break with their opening hands. They go Cloak and Boots as their opening play, going into the Nightmare monster, into the Mermaid, and then they go all the way to the end where there is a Bardiche and a Dingirsu. Typically, they will link off the Dingirsu with a Boots to go back to the Galatea so that they have the interaction, and then they get rid of that Boots to get into a second Fog Blade. So with that in mind, it really matters because, well, the Dingirsu is still on the field and they can't really link it off. So that's the key point here. And with the Dingirsu still on the field, the board is much easier to handle. So that's something to catch, and make sure that when your opponent uses the Boots, make sure that you know that Boots' special summon condition is only once per turn. And while we're at it, the Fog Blade special summon from the graveyard is also once per turn as well. Card number 3, Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. Two things I want to note about this card in terms of its bounce effect. First of all, you can only do it during your opponent's turn because it stays once per opponent's turn. And then the second part is you can only use this in the extra monster zone, or else you will never be able to get that tribute bounce. If this card is in the extra monster zone, quick effect, you can tribute one monster from your hand or field and return one face-up card on the field to the hand. So that is your limitation. And so if anyone does anything otherwise, well, they are cheating. Okay, so yeah, keep that in mind. I've seen a lot of people just like use a bunch of dragons and just put them in a zone where it doesn't really matter, like in the bottom corner. That's not how it works. I know people want to maximize their zone and like, oh, I want to figure out all these big combos, but make sure that your combo is legal. And I've seen people that make this monster, like they make it in the proper area, like the extra monster zone, but they bounce it right away during their own turn, thinking it's a free bounce and a free body. It is not the case. So just keep that in mind so you don't get cheated. However, there are some interesting plays I've seen people do. The illegal one would be they revive it with Pisty because they made the play early. The whole like early play was interrupted by the hand trap, but they left 2 dragons, so they made the card. They got rid of it and they bounced it to keep themselves alive, and then eventually they get into a Pisty play, and then they use Pisty to revive it, and then they try to get that bounce again, but you're never going to get that bounce again. However, you still get to use the tribute. So if you use it as a tribute material, say you tribute summon with it for a Thunder Dragon Roar or whatever Thunder Dragon you may have, it will activate in the graveyard and it will summon out another monster. So you have that going for you, since you can still tribute summon monsters while locked under dragons with the guard dragon Pisty being on the field. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Make sure that your opponent is not activating this card. Well, first of all, not during your turn or during your opponent's turn, and making sure that it's in the extra monster zone. So if you steal with Crackdown, it's very pointless steal unless you're just using it for the link arrows. Card number 4, this one is pretty standard. I just want to remind you guys, Saryuja's attack gaining effect. The attack gaining effect of Saryuja is a mandatory trigger. So every single time your opponent summons onto its arrow, say they use a guard dragon or something like that, that is a timing for you to ogre. For most cases, unless they're using white and black dragons. If they summon like the baby dragons and they summon it onto Saryuja's arrow, that is one of the biggest misplays, especially when you're holding like an ogre. Yeah, if you got an ogre, you can just blow up the Saryuja and then they have to reset the arrows altogether. Keep that in mind. It is very important. I know a lot of people just love to special summon right onto the arrow where their guard dragons are going to be summoned, but if you do that with Saryuja, you are going to pay the price of your Saryuja blowing up and your LP/Pisty not doing its job because it won't have the arrows available. So I keep that in mind if you ever like special summon out your white or a black onto those arrows. It's a big misplay. If you do that play and you get punished for it, well, I'm sorry, you are going to lose now because you just invested 4 materials for a monster just to die. So yeah, that is a misplay, not an illegal play, just a misplay. So yeah, there are many chances for you to actually ogre the Saryuja when that happens, and they're even gonna struggle to try to go into Heretic Seals of Heavenly Spheres at this point. Mystic Mine, card number 5. This is a very interesting one, and since it relates to Sky Tracker, I will put it in the context of Widow Anchor, and there's 2 different ones, but I just want to go over the trigger part of Mystic Mine. You guys know that whoever that controls more monster cannot attack or, well, activate any monster effects. But in terms of the trigger effect, it states, once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. The context of this, I've seen this happen at regionals, which is pretty mind-blowing, which is, okay, so they activate Widow Anchor to take control of a monster. So this is case number 1. You have more monsters than your opponent because you Widow Anchored it over, or else you would both have 1 apiece. So during the end phase, I have heard people argue that, okay, well, I'm going to use Mystic Mine's effect now to attempt to blow itself up, but I don't have the same number of monsters, so it doesn't, and I'm gonna give you back your monster. That is not how it works, and if you've done that, then you clearly need to brush up on your problem-solving card text, as this is a trigger effect. It will not attempt to activate while you control more monsters. It only activates, and it's a mandatory trigger, when both players control the same number of monsters. So the moment that you give the monster back, Mystic Mine will then activate and blow itself up. So you can't just preemptively say, oh, Mystic Mine does this. Yeah, that's not how it works. And in terms of case number 2, which is like the after effect, of, oh, Mystic Mine attempts to activate. I chain Widow Anchor, take control of your monster. Now I don't have the same number of monster anymore, so therefore Mystic Mine doesn't blow up. That is not how it works, because the card has already activated, and therefore it will resolve as much as it can, which is destroy itself. And the whole thing about the monster control, that is the condition for its trigger. That is trigger condition. So it won't even bother activating if the condition's not met. So the moment it has already activated and you take control of a monster, we're no longer looking at that piece of text anymore. So then the Mystic Mine will blow up. Make sure you play your Mystic Mine correctly. I know it's a cheesy card. If you're gonna play a cheesy card, at least play it right. And don't, well, cheat with a cheesy card. Number 5, we have White and Black Dragon, and the key play to remember is that these monsters are Nomi monsters. By Nomi, they cannot be special summoned other than their own method. So in other words, you cannot special summon them from the graveyard via Pisty's effect. That is just how it is. I've seen people summon them, and why is this relevant? So a lot of the common plays we've seen is that people use Ash Blossom Joyous Spring on the LP, which is summoning out either Red Eyes Darkness Metal or a Brotor or an Eclipse Wyvern. Something along those lines. That card gets Ash, so the monster doesn't come out. And for them to do the full Guard Dragon package summon, where it summons the monster from the extra deck with Agripane and then going into Saryuja, that whole play relies on that LP really going through in most cases. But what I've seen people do is when they go into the Pisty, because the White Dragon searches the Black Dragon now goes into the Pisty, they go Pisty revive a White or a Black Dragon, and that's not possible. And if they are able to revive the White or Black Dragon, they can go into the Agripane, and that is something that really they can't really go into. It's just not possible. So that is something to keep in mind. Make sure they don't revive these cards, because the difference between letting them revive it or not is literally an extra deck monster that is really hard to get out, and a Saryuja. So yeah, just don't let that happen. And speaking of the terms of a Guard Dragon, another thing to remind yourselves of is when they go into the Brotor combo where they discard a card, typically they will discard a danger card to get additional advantage, or it's a thunder card. But if they ditch a danger monster, make sure they don't get that summon out of that danger monster. If they ditch a Tsuchinoko or a Jackalope, neither of those monsters can activate because you're locked under a Guard Dragon. I've seen people summon a card out of the deck because they completely forgot. It's like, oh, because they're so zoned into the moment where they're only looking at, oh, if I discard a Jackalope, I'll get a summon. Unless the day comes where we have a dragon type, a danger monster, yes, then yeah, cool story, bro. Just summon out your danger dragon monster. But that is not the day today. So keep that in mind. If they ever ditch a Jackalope or Tsuchinoko, no summon. They can't get that free body to go into the Saryuja, and that's what usually they go into. They go into the Saryuja with the extra body anyway. So yeah, there's that to keep in mind. This one is a bit of a side deck card. It's Typhoon. So in Danger Thunder Dragon, you don't play any back row, so you can usually activate this card from your hand, but there is a condition. Your opponent needs to control 2 or more spell cards for you to activate this card from your hand. So I've seen people activate this card when there's only 1 card on the field, and that's just not possible. You just can't do it. Like, your opponent plays the spell of Orcus Babel, or they're playing the Salamangreat Sanctuary, and they're like, oh, instant shotgun, throw that card out. You have to wait till basically the end phase before you're able to do that. I've seen it happen far too often, so I'm just gonna put that out there. Typhoon does have that limitation where you need to have 2 or more spell cards, and some people forget it too. Some people play set rotation and they put a spell card into your side and they're still activating it from your hand. So if your opponent if you play set rotation against your opponent and put a field spell on their side and they suddenly Typhoon you, just remind them like, hey, you can't Typhoon me, you control a spell card right now. So that is another play, because Typhoon is a very typical card to use against Mystic Mine. And finally, it's Orcus Dingirsu. I'm sure this has happened to so many of you, and I've caught it a couple of times. Make sure that this doesn't happen to you at WCQ, where your opponent summons Dingirsu multiple times on the same turn. You can only special summon out Dingirsu once per turn. That is his condition, or else he'd be really broken. How does this really occur usually? It's because during the standby phase or the main phase, they summon out Dingirsu right away with Symbol Skeleton because they didn't use it the previous turn. They summon him out, send a card to the graveyard, or like reattach Symbol Skeleton, and then they proceed to link him off, and then all of a sudden during they, I guess before battle phase, there's a Galatea. They slapped it in Girzu on top for the additional damage, and perhaps to get the body for the Borosword to switch to defense mode. Then you realize, hey, wait a second, you just summoned in Girzu twice. That's not possible. In other words, it could potentially save you from an OTK from a Borosword. Yeah, so that's why, to me, it matters a lot. Hopefully you guys are able to survive these kinds of misplays. Make sure you catch these misplays. I'm wishing you guys the best of luck on all of this. So yeah, that's really all I got for this video, guys. Is there any other misplay or illegal play that you've caught very frequently at like multiple different locals, regionals, YCS? Leave it down in the comment section below to make sure that everyone plays a very fair game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, you know, your losses are, you know, played properly, your wins are played properly, and, you know, maintain the integrity of the game. So that's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, still trying to figure out what I want to do. Maybe I'll do some live duels. I also support this field center. Really appreciate it because weddings are expensive. And yeah, that's all I got for this video, guys. So until next time, hit subscribe, ding the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.